exciting review of an Esterbrook. Now this is a modern Esterbrook. I have a little information about that I'll get to in a little bit. This is the Esterbrook Nostalgia. They've brought back several models. Now I will admit the coloration here is interesting because I have some windows you can't see open. Well, no, you can see it this time. I set the camera somewhere different. So you can see there's a little daylight coming in here. I probably should have closed it, but it's heading towards hot, so I thought, no. But Esterbrook Nostalgia has I actually really like this finish. It has Esterbrook, looks like it's engraved here. It's supposedly modeled after the Esterbrook dollar pen, which I don't have an example. I guess I looked, the clip is vaguely like that. Esterbrook again on the finial, which is out of focus. Plain finial at the other end. Open it up. I'll look at the nib in a second. Cartridge converter pen. The converter's almost empty. You know, I thought it was a decent converter. I didn't pee myself in excitement, but it wasn't. You know, it's a decent converter. The grip it's workable, and then the nib. Just do a couple close-up thingies here. The nib is a iridium point Germany, which means that's probably iridium, and it's the same nib you find on a lot of lower cost pens. Not a bad nib, just not a amazing nib, just meh. Which is, I could sum up my reaction to the pen. Screw cap, it does an okay job of keeping it all, the ink sealed so it doesn't dry out, but again, meh. And now you can get a better look at the finish. The finish is more than meh to me. I do actually like the finish. I think that's some attractive acrylic flake stuff. I still can't work the focus there. The pen itself came in a move. Actually, let's compare it real quick to its forebears, and then we'll show you how it was packaged. I don't usually do that, but I was surprised. Alright, so this is an Esterbrook So this is an Esterbrook Nostalgia. We'll put it at the top of the screen. I haven't done this in a while. This is an Esterbrook, and forgive me, I don't know that I may get some names wrong. This is an Esterbrook J. This is kind of the classic that everybody collects. This is an Esterbrook LJ, which is a little bit smaller. And this is an Esterbrook Pastel, which is a cute little pocket pen. Which, with this lighting, when I review it, I'll have to figure that out. It looks very washed out, but anyway, we don't care. So all of these pens use the same interchangeable idea for the nibs. You unscrew the nib and put in whatever you want. They are all lever fillers, although apparently Esterbrook did make some piston fillers. There was one for sale for a long time on Anderson Pens. Clearly it didn't make it into my collection because I wasn't that interested. But what was interesting about the nibs, this is a relief nib. I think it's a broad relief. I can't remember what's on it. But they sold all sorts of nibs. They had flex nibs, they had broad nibs, fine nibs, medium nibs, what they called relief nibs, hard nibs, anything you could think of. And these were lower cost pens made by an American company. And the company went out of business, of course, in 1971, so we'll take these out of business pens out of the way and talk a little bit about the star of the show here. Now, I wrote a little bit of notes down about the pen. I will get to the packaging. I just remembered that I forgot. That sentence made no sense. The pen itself, Esterbrook has had some trouble reestablishing. The trouble is when you're reestablishing a well-known brand that people are attached to and love, well, you're not going to bring back this. Because this, other than the novelty, isn't going to fly in the modern market. Plus, those had a cracking issue around the cap. Instead, you want to somehow reflect that older model and yet have new modern sensibility, so it's something fresh and not just a straight imitation. When it doesn't look anything like the classic pen and maybe even goes against what people feel is the essence of that classic pen, then you get some pretty vitriolic reaction. And I'll be honest, I read through some of the reaction to Esterbrook and I thought, whoa, that's a little over the top. What happened is the company went out of business in 1971. The trademark was re-registered by a gentleman named Robert Rosenberg in 2014. Now, you may have heard of some of the larger reviewers mentioning Kenro Industries. These are the people who import, let's see, Aurora pens and Montegrappa pens. He started Kenro Industries. He also went to law school and studied trademark abandonment. You might be noticing a direction here. He went on to re-register, I guess, the abandoned Conklin trademark, and I've reviewed 2 Conklin pens in my time, a Conklin word gauge, which I really like, and a Conklin Durograph, which is just kind of meh, even though they have the same nib. So he relaunched Conklin with his father, who was actually a sales director at one time for Parker and Waterman, and then sold them to Jaffa Pens, who now distributes them along with, well, let's see, Monteverde and a couple others like that. So there's not much in common with these. The original Esterbrooks were affordable pens. This actually is pretty affordable. I mean, I spent maybe $20 on it. If you look at Esterbrook, though, they have the $440 deluxe model for a pen that honestly is not that attractive. They have a few models. I mean, what I've seen here doesn't inspire me to go try any of their other models. But I'll just quick show you the case, and then we'll talk about how she writes. So Esterbrook, let me lift this up. Sorry. I am actually looking at a new camera solution, but it's not going to happen until September. So the Esterbrook is well packaged. Nice sturdy feeling case. Inside, the converter was in this. I think the pen was in a sack too, but I must have thrown it away for some reason. And then they have a pretty good selection of sapphire blue cartridges. I've not used them, but... And then inside, you know, Esterbrook and the nice grippy doodle. I mention that because I'm going to be putting the pen right back into this case. I always give a pen 2 tries before I decide if it's a keeper or not. This, while interesting, not a keeper. So I've kept the case, and it will go back in there. So now that we're that far, let's see how it writes. And I'm sorry, the windows are open. I'm also sorry that this video was delayed. Ooh, what a big engine you have. So Esterbrook Nostalgia. As you saw, it's running low on ink. It really doesn't have trouble with hard starts, although the ink gets darker overnight, so I think there's some evaporation. But it really is not a hard starting pen, regardless of what you just saw there. So we'll defend it a little. My ink is the ever lovely Dea Trementis. And perhaps I should have done this review while I had more ink in the pen. Aubergine. Eggplant, and I like eggplants. I'm growing them in my garden. I've got 4 plants if they survive the drought. So, not a flex nib, although you can coax some line variation out of it. But yeah, don't go nuts flexing. I was just curious about the bleed through there. There actually was some. Okay, so let's see. We'll test for wetness and flow. No trouble keeping up. I mean, this is an okay writer. It's just not amazing. Smear test. It's not wet, it's not dry, it's just kind of, well, again, my assessment of this pen is meh. With Diatramentus ink, it does kind of go into the paper more quickly than other brands. Reverse writing. Once again, a surprise to you and to me. Very smooth, but sort of skippy, which could have to do with how empty the cartridge or the converter is. It's just meh. I'm not excited about this pen. All right, let's look up a quote here. Actually, I'm going to copy a quote. I just don't know which one yet. Oh, here we go. We'll go with Steve Biko, because I mispronounced his name in an earlier review. So I've said this before, I don't review pens I don't like. I review pens that maybe I'm not satisfied with, and I'll point out the bad about them, but if I don't like it, I'm not going to bother reviewing it. So this is like I said, it's just kind of meh. The name Esterbrook caught my eye. I was interested in it because of that. I do think the finish is attractive. The writing experience is the same writing experience I can get from a lot of pens. I can't see a reason to buy it. And one thing I noticed as I was researching this pen a little bit is I got it for $20. There are retailers that are selling it for several times more than that, and it's just not worth it. You'll see there is a Esterbrook out there right now with a Charles Schultz signature on it. He's dead, but sorry, he is though. He's the guy who created Peanuts cartoons, but it's just not worth the premium to me. If I hadn't seen this one, I probably never would have reviewed a modern Esterbrook. So I hope the company can find its way. Pen Economics blog had, I have several links down below about it. Pen Economics blog didn't seem terribly impressed with them, and I can't blame them. So I leave you with a big meh. Does it have value? At the price I paid, maybe. It's just nothing startling about it to make me feel like I got a bargain. It just, I'm so non-committal with this video. Meh. So I hope that was interesting, hope it was useful, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.